Hello, and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio Show. I'm your host, Mark Angelo Cummings.
And thank you for joining us tonight. We thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and taking a listen to us.
Totally.
We've been gone, but we're back.
We are back. We're trying to check out how everything looks. We got ourselves streaming over there so we could see the chat. And there's obviously a delay. That's what.
That's a delay there.
Yeah, we're not here. But yeah, so thank you guys. Let me go into the chat area so that I'm able to see that as well. And we will be opening the phone lines tonight so that you guys could either call in with questions, information.
Call us up. We can have a debate, conversation. You know, the number is.
I will put it on the screen for them to be able to. Let me see here the banner whenever the time comes, because we don't want to start right away with the calls. But let's see here. The number is somewhere here in this.
Oh, we'll show it later. I guess.
Like right here would be the number. It's gonna go. You can see it there. 602-456-9760. It'll start showing in a little bit.
That screen actually doesn't show everything because it kind of gets cut off. It's not.
Okay.
It's not going to affect what they can see.
Okay. So anyway, welcome once again.
Yes.
And let's go ahead and put this back up here. We're still trying to get the hang of it. It's like it should be like riding a bike, but it doesn't always seem to be that way. So wanted to share, you found this earlier today, and I thought it was pretty apropos to what we're discussing today and how I keep saying that people have created the leader of the free world to actually be very similar to the God of the Bible. The same.
Yeah, it's pretty striking, the resemblance. Not physically, but maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I just know the personality, that narcissistic, that jealousy, that vindictive nature, because Yahweh is very vindictive. If you read the Bible, you would see that would be the case. By the way, we don't know if our sound is, because hopefully you guys could hear us okay.
Yeah, it shows that the mic is picking up signal.
That's good.
So
he's I think he's the incarnate. Donald Trump is the incarnate of Yahweh.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Yeah. So what was it that he's saying to his devoted followers, the people that voted for him?
Even the MAGA people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what he's saying to his devoted followers, to his MAGA people. I'm running out of patience with what used to be my loyal supporters, being fooled by the liberals and their obvious hoax. What obvious hoax is he talking about? Everything to him is a lie, a hoax, and that he got taught well by that attorney guy that was really close to him.
Colin, I think.
Yeah, we saw the movie, and then I have my opinions on that relationship. The only thing they're capable of, those who continue with this BS will be identified and a serious price will be paid. You've been warned. Doesn't that sound like Yahweh to you?
It does, but it also sounds just like Donald Trump on his second term, where he is loose and doing everything that at least he's honest, because he said he was going to be vengeful and payback and retribution. And that was going to be, he told people on the campaign trail that he was going to be their retribution.
Yeah.
And he is following through with everything. And this is just not even a year in.
Yeah, it's just the beginning, which is pretty sad. I mean, it's I don't know if people are aware what he's doing to the White House. Like he's planning to live there forever.
He seems like it. I mean, you don't just build a grand ballroom that looks like it's going to look like Mar-a-Lago and not think that he's going to ignore this 22nd Amendment and stay in office. You know,
He's not generous at all. So he's not doing something for the president's coming after him because he's a very greedy, self-centered, individual that doesn't care about anybody but himself. So that building or the tearing down to build a ballroom, out of all things, there's so many things that people need that the man right now is just thinking about the need of a ballroom. So because he loves to receive accolades and made feel like he's a king.
And just the fact that the money that he brags about it being, fully paid for by his friends and by himself. But I mean, this just smells of cronyism, this whole concept of like, who's gonna give to get favors back. I mean, corporate America, the Amazons of the world, the Googles of the world, they don't, they don't miss an opportunity to get into the White House,
And just everything that's taking place, all the destruction of ships that don't belong to the United States. We're not at war with, is it Venezuela, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he is taking it upon himself to be the patrol of the drug cartels, or who's bringing what to where,
and this is next. Land strikes soon.
Yeah, he talked about
land
that.
strikes soon.
Yeah. So
isn't that crazy?
What's going on? Do people even understand? I mean, they're so blind. Like they're blind about the God of the Bible.
They are. I mean, they believe a very limited book that basically hasn't really been vetted in the history of, the records of everything. I mean, I was telling you just this morning that people thought that Nazareth existed during the time of Jesus. But when I was on a trip to Israel, I asked, when are we going to go visit Nazareth, right? Because that's where Jesus was raised and stuff. And they said, well, actually, that's not on the tour because Jesus never really lived in Nazareth. Nazareth didn't even exist yet. At the time, it exists now.
Yeah, but back then it didn't.
So these are the things that people take for granted. They believe that everything the Bible says is true.
And it's just so confusing as the creator of this realm and the creator of the Christian belief, which originally started as the belief of those that lived in Israel. People just don't put two and two together. That it's just a bunch of control mechanisms, a bunch of lies put together as a political ploy to take over, and I don't know what it's going to take for people. The good news is there are people that are deconstructing, and I'm not going to read it today, but I got a message from someone who used to be a devout Christian, 20 years of Messianic Christianity. And they have finally deconstructed after realizing that every time they prayed, instead of getting what they prayed for, they got the opposite. I mean, they were hurt to no end. 20 years, hurt to no end, to the point where the person could no longer continue to be a Christian. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. I mean, that's what happened to us.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people think that we were hurt by Christians, and it's like, I'm sorry, but there's no human being alive that could hurt me. You can only allow people to hurt you if you allow them.
It's really not personal. It's actually just like this woman who literally, Messianic Christian, that's like taking Christianity to another level where you're actually keeping the Sabbath and you're honoring and closing your house up on Friday at sundown and then not working or doing anything or cooking or, because that's Messianic, right?
Very
They believe in
hardcore.
Shabbat,
Yeah,
right?
very hardcore.
So we're talking about a person who was like invested.
Yeah.
They were in it and they believed it and they lived it. And I mean, there's casual Christians.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot.
this woman seems like she was not just a casual Christian.
No, and I'm hoping to either get her maybe on the show, maybe calling in if she
That'd be
doesn't
a
feel comfortable.
tremendous
Yeah.
story to hear.
And it's important. I mean, I want people that are starting to wake up to the truth to either call in, share your experience, or maybe you want to be interviewed. We'll be more than happy to be able to share your story, because I think it's important now more so than ever for the truth to really come forward, because we can't continue to live the lie. We can't continue to live the political lie, the financial lies, the religious lies. We have been lied to for way too long, and it's time for people to remove the veils from their eyes, wake up to the truth. And the truth is the God of the Bible is not the true creator of all. He might have created this realm, this matrix, this prison, which is all this is. But he doesn't love you. Jesus ain't coming back to save you. Jesus was just, if he existed, was just another one of the many skywalkers, time travelers that are trying to free us.
Something may be coming back, but it's not what you think it is.
Exactly.
I don't think you're going to want what's coming.
I know. I mean, that's pretty, I've had dreams about things, and since I was a kid, where you have all these UFOs in the sky and people are freaking out and they're in panic, and it's like I wrote in my song, we will meet our maker and we will learn the truth. Today is a day like no other, and you don't want to meet the maker.
No,
that it's Yahweh is not a good thing, put it that way. And I know a lot of people get upset about that, but if you really want to learn the truth, you got to dig in. You got to stop believing the lies, stop believing that romanticization that they try to give you.
But the con was good for so long because it was the only game in town.
It was.
I mean, there weren't any other, records that people had excavated. No manuscripts that would counter the story, counter the narrative. There was nothing that was going against the story.
No.
And it was good for business.
It was. And it continues to be, because they continue to, look at what happened with that certain person who got assassinated. They've made this whole drama about it because they need that. They need that little oomph of dopamine high when something happens, so that they could go, see, God is using this for this. Yeah. God could care less. The God of the Bible, not the true creator, because we're not atheists. We believe that something exists, a universe, a source that we are part of. But the God of the Bible, no, he's not. He's not your man. He's not the guy. So you've been lied to, and the truth isn't holy. It's radioactive, actually. What if everything you were taught about God, creation, and salvation was part of a cosmic control system? You heard that right.
The world was built by a counterfeit creator, a tyrant called Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, and everything from your body to your beliefs was designed to keep you from remembering what you really are, a divine spark trapped inside a simulation of obedience.
In this matrix, this is what the simulation is, and your body, which he barely made it functional. How many people, you literally, when you're born and as the years go by, you start to fall apart after the age of 35, you start losing muscle. As you get older, you start losing your hearing, your eyesight. What kind of creator is that? Yeah. This is not some great working mechanism. I'm sorry, but
even just the fact that we're bipedal, which means that we walk on two legs, that limits us, and it disables us from experiencing a healthy life.
Yeah, because our back and everything.
Our back gets, as we age, it's just not a very good, thoughtful design. Okay. It's a design that looks into wanting to see, after a certain time, things break down.
Yeah, you deteriorate.
That's the plan.
Even bringing life into this world, and I know they said it's because Adam and Eve sinned, then now you will have painful labor and you will till the earth. And it's like, the crime doesn't fit the punishment. So what? Because they ate from a fruit that gave them knowledge. You don't want your creation to be smart. You want your creation to be dumb so you could control them and so they don't think. So these are things that people have to put together. So this is it's exposure. The apocalypse isn't coming. It's already here. Inside every moment you begin to wake up.
You've been conned. Everything you thought you knew about the creation of the world, about God, the heavens, the earth, was scripted by something that doesn't want you to ask questions.
I mean, don't you wonder why it's like you read the Bible and when you read a passage, you have more questions than you do answers, but you're supposed to blind faith, his ways are higher than ours. Why is that? Why do we have to believe that his ways are higher than ours? Last time I checked and look around, his ways are much higher. They're not at all.
And you grow up asking questions like in the innocence of childhood. There's so many instances where I've heard, even you've said it in the past, the hard questions, they ask the people who are supposed to be the elders and the people that have an experience with God and have a relationship. And they ask them the hard questions like, why does God let evil exist? Why can't he do more? And then they're like, well, God's ways are higher than our ways. And this is the scripture which says that. So our wisdom is like ignorance in God's eyes, and our righteousness is as dirty rags. And it's like, wait a second. So there's no answer. It's like, it's just like, well, God, he has his set of righteousness and this is how he operates and no questions are asked.
And you're supposed to have blind faith and just go along to get along and not question anything that he does. And that's wrong. I mean, like, I know you all remember when you were a kid and you asked your parents something and they turned around and said, because I say so. That's not an answer. You're supposed to give your kids logical answers so they could grow up being logical, thinking adults, empowering them. You don't want to bring them down and constantly making them think that they're evil, that their heart's wicked, and that they know no better. That's all lies. That is what they have to control you, and it works. Something that demands obedience, not understanding. And Gnostic texts buried for almost 2,000 years blow that entire story apart.
We're not talking about opinions here. We're talking about a complete reversal of the biblical narrative, line by line, frame by frame, according to the Apocryphon of John, the foundational Gnostic gospel. The creator of this world is not the true God. It's hard to believe, but he's a fraud, a defective, arrogant, and might also say ignorant being named Yaldabaoth, also known as Saraslas or the Demiurge. He thinks he's God. He screams, I am God, and there is no other. But Gnostics didn't worship him.
And what does that sound familiar? I am God and there's no other. Isn't that what Yahweh, which is the same as Saraslas and Yaldabaoth or whatever, all these weird names? They expose them because behind him is Sophia, the fallen emanation of the true divine realm, the pleroma and beyond. Her something for older and purer, the monad, the actual source of all being. Let me check since I have no way of knowing what's on, if there's anybody on chat.
You would know because it would show up.
Okay.
There's no chat.
Okay. Well, sometimes you can, but okay.
So the story of Sophia acting without her male counterpart creates the Yaldabaoth by accident. This is a grotesque creature. He's malformed, he's ignorant, and worse, he's proud because he doesn't know that there are greater powers above him. He creates the heavens, the planets, the archons, spiritual prison guards, and finally us, humanity.
But not out of love. Oh no, out of control, out of fear. Isn't that the same thing? the man in the White House is doing. He builds this physical universe as a cage to trap the divine sparks that fell when Sophia tried to repair her mistake. Those sparks, that's you, that's me, that's all of us.
This isn't philosophy. This is actually war. The Gnostics viewed the physical world not as a gift, but as a system of control. The world and physical existence are illusions crafted by a false creator god known in Gnostic traditions as Yaldabaoth or the Demiurge. This being arose when Sophia, a divine emanation and eon from the spiritual realm, the pleroma, created without her counterpart, again, and accidentally produced a flawed, ignorant being who believed himself to be the one true God. He didn't know that there was something else.
From several Nagamani scriptures, the Apocryphon of John details the cosmic hierarchy. Sophia falls and the Demiurge creation of a material prison. The Apocalypse of Adam presents Adam's testimony that the creator of the physical world is not the true God and that humanity carries a stolen divine spark.
The Apocalypse of Peter portrays Jesus revealing to Peter that institutional religion will corrupt his teachings, turning truth into control.
Listen to that. Jesus revealed to Peter that institutional religion will corrupt his teachings, turning truth into control.
And that's what's happened.
Yeah.
The Coptic Apocalypse of Paul depicts Paul's ascent through heaven's layers, exposing a hierarchy of false rulers, archons, masquerading as divine authority.
Interpretation of the apocalypse. Unlike traditional Christian apocalypse, Gnosticism redefines apocalypse as an unveiling. The Greek term apocalypse originally means revelation. In this view, the end of the world is the end of the illusion, not of creation.
Salvation is not granted by faith or obedience, but by gnosis, recognition, the remembrance of one's divine origin. Evil and suffering exist because the world was built by a defective creator, blind by the true source.
Now think about that. Christians want to blame the devil, but Yahweh is the devil. Yahweh is that evil deity that was so defected. He built this world defected completely, just as he was. Imagine if you are a divine God and you create a world, there's nothing that anything around could defect that world, because we would have the same image as him. But because we're in these bodies, we're not detached from these bodies. Our spirit, our spark is not detached. We have all the downfalls of that creator God that created this world. Humans live inside an artificial system governed by unseen forces. It portrays Gnostic apocalypse as a personal awakening, a psychic jailbreak, rather than a doomsday prophecy. So that's the good news. You know, it's like, it's not meant as doomsday. It's meant as like, we're breaking free. We're remembering this awakening, which a lot of the people that are pro-Christian, conservative, they call us woke. And woke, you know, is not it's a compliment, because you rather be asleep or you rather be awake, you know?
Gnosticism is an early mystical philosophical system that reinterprets creation, redemption, and divine authority. It portrays existence as a cosmic prison, not a divine gift. Liberation comes through gnosis, Greek word for knowledge, a direct realization of one's divine origin, bypassing institutional mediation.
The Gnostic worldwide view is organized around 6 pillars. The monad, the supreme unknowable source of all being.
That's the true source.
Yeah, that's a true creator. The pleroma, the realm of divine fullness, where emanations, eons, exist in harmony.
Sophia, the eon of wisdom, whose impulsive act of creation outside divine order causes cosmic imbalance. Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, a blind, arrogant being, inadvertently created by Sophia, who fashions the material universe as an imitation of the spiritual realm.
And the archons, the lower cosmic rulers who enforce the demiurge's authority by binding souls in matter. The divine spark, fragments of a pleroma trapped with human beings. Now think about this. When you read the Bible, where do you think God comes from? Here, this explanation tells you the God of this world was created by Sophia, a grotesque character who was so grotesque and so broken that the world he created, do you find this world to be great? I mean, you go out in nature, nature's trying to kill you.
That's what we experience.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this world, the creation of this Yahweh, is messed up. And don't blame it on the devil. Because then the devil would have more strength than the original God. That makes absolutely no sense.
And mind you, the devil is a recent creation by the church itself. There was no devil in the Old Testament.
Right.
So talking about that is like, they create the boogeyman and then they make people believe in the boogeyman so that they can blame someone.
Yeah, let's create the problem so they can then find the solution. The solution is always take away more of your freedom, bind you some more, make you control you more. I mean, it's always the same.
So the Apocryphon of John is the blueprint of cosmic deception. And this foundational Gnostic text constitutes a dialogue between Christ and John. In it, the monad exists as total unity, producing paired eons, male, female, zezyges. Sophia, moved by autonomous desire, births Yaldabaoth without her consort.
Yaldabaoth proclaims, I am God and there is no other besides me. This echoes Isaiah 45:5, but it's reframed as a false proclamation of ignorance. He creates the archons, angelic enforcers, who shape matter and build the cosmos as a counterfeit reflection of divine order. So everything in this world, it's like upside down. It's a mirror of it, but it's messed up because it was created by Yahweh.
Sophia, realizing her error, attempts to restore balance through epinoia, insight, sending divine knowledge into humanity. Adam's creation represents the Demiurge's theft of heavenly light, the divine spark. Humans carry within them, all of us, fragments of the true God, the monad, which can awaken through gnosis.
And that is a God that wants to empower you. He doesn't want to control you. It's the God that whenever you feel your essence, your power, your ability to manifest things, you're connected to that higher God. Yahweh doesn't want you to like do anything other than kneel down, get on your knees and worship and pray and ask for forgiveness. I mean, what does that solve? What kind of world is that?
And that was one of the things that, when it comes to like a real live lived experience, we've experienced some of those examples, like we literally walked by a place that we thought we were going to live at. Mm-hmm. And we said, we're going to live there someday. Mm-hmm. And we created that thought form and that gave life to something. And eventually we moved there.
Yeah. I've used that all my entire life. I mean, there is nothing that I don't put my mind to that doesn't manifest. Manifestation is very real. You have that ability to do so. When people pray and they think that it's this Yahweh that's making it happen, and like that lady said, not one single prayer that she ever prayed for the 20 years did anything ever come true.
And for you, it wasn't as long of a period that you were putting your faith in Jesus or whatever. But in that short amount of time, you were a believer and all in and reading your Bible and
Sabbath,
listening
everything.
to Christian music and Sabbath and going to church. And, I mean,
I didn't feel anything. I would sit there and like, please let me feel you. Give me a sign. Chirp, chirp, chirp.
And then
Not a
people
thing.
would say, oh, you weren't really pressing in enough. You weren't,
Yeah, that's
you
what
weren't
their
giving,
excuse.
you weren't like giving in completely. There was something that was holding you back. And it's like, no, at the time we were broken up
Mhm.
and we had no connection with each other.
Mm-mm.
I wasn't influencing you. I
Mm-mm.
knew that if you wanted to live your life for God, who was I to stop you? And we went our separate ways.
Mhm.
And, you know,
it was so dead. It was the deadest time of my life. Totally dead. I mean, I had no, and I've always, since I was a kid, I've always had this massive ability, this spiritual gnosis, and the ability to do things. Since I was a little kid, I was so connected. And during the time that I was a Christian, I felt so dead inside. Like I had lost my mojo, and man, as soon as I let go of that, I get my mojo back. I get my abilities back. I'm able to like see things. My dreams are amazing. I can't even explain it.
you know, people are going, especially Christians, are going to say, oh no, those texts, that's not the gospel, that's not the Bible. Those are demonic books, you know, they don't have any, like, they weren't approved by the church, they weren't canonized, and it's like, honestly, you guys, you don't want to understand anything else. You
But
don't want anything to be
But that's
in
the
front of your
thing. They
narrative.
they don't realize it's like the mafia. The mafia that we're experiencing right now in the world, the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, all the churches, all religion are like little mafias. And if it's not approved, it's like the peer review, that type of thing. They will not allow it. But they don't realize that the truth is not in the Bible. There are some storylines that they've twisted to fit their needs. But the actual fact that these books that are way older than the Bible have more truth to them, like the Nag Hammadi, all these like Sumerian tablets, all these things have a lot more truth and hold their weight in gold. They're a lot more real than the Bible. The Bible, all these little verses and scriptures that contradict one another. And I challenge any Christian to any debate, any time of the year, that I could prove you wrong. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, having a civil conversation, coming with the facts, carrying, the information that you have, present it, and we'll present ours,
Mhm.
and we'll see, what happens at the end.
I mean,
some people won't agree.
Yeah.
Some people will.
I mean, if you people are listening to this, does this not make more sense to you than the little Adam and Eve story and all these little scriptures that are dead? They hold no water. All these saying, well, God loves you and Jesus, it's just so like a cookie. What are those Chinese fortune cookies? That's what it seems like to me.
But it's like, if you get into a conversation with some of these people, it's like, well, you've yet to hear back from.
Oh, they won't. I have a couple of Christians that I've given them information. Okay, so please refute this. They haven't. They can't. They won't.
I refer you to watch this video, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm been too busy. I'll get back to you."
Or what about the scripture? What do you think God meant by this? And do you want to worship a God that does this? Chirp, chirp, chirp.
I mean, simple. Like God said, I create light, I create good, I create evil. It is I who do these things. It's like Isaiah 45:7, I think it is. I ask people to, explain to me what that means if that's not what it means, that he creates evil.
Oh, God's ways are higher than ours. It's like the same.
But he creates evil.
Yeah.
You can't go around that.
You can't live in a world that has been created by a good God. Okay, a God that is like the monad. Because the monad had nothing to do with this world. This matrix, this prison planet, it's all Yaldabaoth. It's all this corrupt, broken deity. And we need to escape this realm. This is a prison planet. And they keep recycling us in here. So there's no way you could tell me that a good, loving God would have created this. And you can't blame the devil because that just doesn't fly. How can you have something pure and good to then allow something so wicked and terrible to demolish it? It doesn't work that way, but they can't think. So the apocalypse of Adam, humanity as prisoner of a false creation. In this text, Adam reveals to his son Seth that he and Eve originally existed in light and glory before being imprisoned in flesh. Are you listening to that? This is our prison, okay? And this is what Yahweh created. The creator God of Genesis is identified as Sakla Yaldabaoth, a fraud who hijacked divine power. That's who you all are following.
Adam and Eve were punished not for disobedience, but for remembering their origin. Because the name of the game is not to remember. That's what they tell you, not to remember. Don't remember.
Yeah, don't do things that are going to allow you to remember. Don't meditate. That's evil. Don't question. That's evil. Doesn't that kind of like make you wonder a little bit?
I remember being told, don't look into any other book of any other religion. Don't look into the Quran. Don't look into the Hindu writings. Don't look into any historical, religious book, because that's just the doctrine of devils and stuff. And they would say, stay away from it.
Yeah, well, of course, because they don't want you to have knowledge. They don't want you to have gnosis, the tree of good and evil, the tree of knowledge. He will literally like put a Bolton strike on your head because he doesn't want you to have gnosis. He doesn't want you to have knowledge. And that's why Adam and Eve, that's their only like mistake, that they opened up their eyes and they was like, oh no, now they know.
I mean, there was an account in the Bible talking about King Saul seeking the wisdom of the witch of Endor. He wanted her to summon the dead Samuel, the prophet, and she did. And Samuel said, why are you disturbing me? And it's like, so here you have something that was credibly possible, that he was seeking answers. He was seeking, to find out certain things. And he was seeking that kind of wisdom. The witch of Endor was known to have that kind of wisdom. The God of the Bible, Yahweh, didn't want him to reach out to that wisdom.
Yeah, no.
So he immediately, gets punished for it.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not like it didn't exist. It's not like it wasn't valid. It wasn't something that he could connect to, so these are things they don't want you to know. The reason that he didn't want them to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil was because if they knew, like the serpent told them, they would become like God, knowing the difference between good and evil. They would have their eyes open. Yeah. And
now the man has become like one of us.
Right.
And they did it, so they had to kick him out of the garden, which was a place that they created to keep Adam. It wasn't just Adam and Eve. There was a group of beings that they had in this like literally prison, and then they couldn't have him in there. They had to kick him out because now mankind knew too much. And the archons and his leader Yahweh could be effective because there's something about us humans that God fears.
Right, because they don't have the divine spark.
They don't. So they try to control us.
Don't have access to the divine spark.
Right.
The text describes 13 cosmic kingdoms, each ruled by false gods who fabricate competing origin stories to preserve control. Confusion becomes the architecture of domination. This document redefines the quote-unquote fall as abduction, the theft of spiritual memory by cosmic imposters.
Let that sink in. The fall as an abduction, the theft of spiritual memory by cosmic imposters. The apocalypse of Peter, the co-opted faith and institutional corruption here. Jesus forewarns Peter that the religion created in the same will became a tool of manipulation. The so-called faithful will worship the image and kill the truth.
That's very evident today. They've made a religion
Mhm.
out of the suffering Savior, the suffering Christ, when the reality was, if this character was killed and was put on a cross to die, it wasn't the suffering that was supposed to be the important thing. It was the fact that he had overcome death and that
Mhm.
he was able to return to living again. Because
But that's no feat,
living is
because
death.
that's not a feat. That's nothing magical, because if he was the son of God or God himself, because that's another confusion. Some people think Jesus was God. Then, but yeah, he returned. He never died in the first place.
So clergy and institutions will weaponize, it says, guilt and obedience, something we've seen
Mhm.
for the last 2,000 years, creating a cult of suffering that suppresses spiritual freedom.
I mean, you're not allowed to think for yourself.
The laughing Christ above the crucifixion symbolizes the transcendence of true divinity beyond material sacrifice and dogma.
The Coptic Apocalypse of Paul. Journey through the layers of heaven. Paul ascends through 10 heavens patrolled by archons. Each level represents a bureaucratic checkpoint of illusion rather than purification.
Paul's refusal to bow exposes the false authority of these beings. True salvation arises not from intercession, but direct recognition of divine origin.
The higher one ascends, the more unstable these realms become, hinting that the cosmic order is collapsing under its own lies. The apocalypse of Paul thus transforms ascension into rebellion against spiritual totalitarianism. And we're seeing like what's happening now here on earth. I've always said, as above, so below. It's like everything is falling apart. People are waking up by drones. I mean, people are like understanding the old world, something really fishy is going on there. What's going on now? What is all these things that are taking place? I mean, the veil is being lifted, and they're concerned. They're worried. They're very worried this time around.
Gnostic cosmology and the war on consciousness. Across these texts, a central cosmological drama unfolds. The fall of Sophia initiates metaphysical entropy, birthing an imperfect world. Yaldabaoth, in ignorance, crafts man as a copy of light, but cannot animate him until the heart of divine essence enters.
And doesn't that make more sense than the whole concept that you're born into these bodies and you die? You're either going to go to heaven or hell. You go to hell, you don't have a body. So how can a soul burn for eternity? A soul is light. A soul is fire. You know, doesn't this make a heck of a lot more sense how this whole thing got started than the storyline that the Bible has given you? So humanity divine element becomes the Demiurge's greatest threat. He fears us. Knowledge, gnosis, not faith, becomes the alarm that disrupts the archon's hold, like a virus breaching a program.
The cosmos itself functions as an information prison, guarded by powers who specialize in distraction, deception, and dogma.
The true apocalypse, revelation, apocalypse word apocalypsis means unveiling, not destruction. For Gnosis, apocalypse is personal awakening, and that's what's happening now. The instant the soul remembers its divine nature, we're now starting to question everything.
Judgment is not external, it is a recognition that all outer authority is counterfeit. The world collapse begins within the psyche when the illusion loses credibility. And this reframing dissolves apocalyptic fear, interpreting end time imagery as a metaphor for awakening consciousness.
Parallels between Gnostic metaphysics and modern simulation theory, psychological deprogramming, and the institutional critique. The archons become proxies for state, media, and religious control system. The material world is reimagined as a virtualization layer over divine consciousness.
Awakening gnosis mirrors digital glitching out or out of the system, like we saw with the Matrix.
Right?
Recognizing the code and reclaiming awareness. Thus, the so-called Gnostic apocalypse functions as a metaphysical jailbreak manual, not a doomsday prophecy.
The apocalypse, therefore, is not destruction. It's a dismantling illusion by awakening the divine cognitive already within.
The Apocryphon of John, the Apocalypse of Adam, the Apocalypse of Peter, and the Coptic Apocalypse of Paul expresses a fragment of a unified cosmology that opposes a dominant theology of early Christianity. Below is a detailed scholarly style analysis of each text and the specific claims it advances.
The Apocryphon of John, Secret Book of John. The Apocryphon of John represents or presents a post-resurrection appearance of Christ to the Apostle John, during which the Savior unveils a cosmic history underlying creation. At its center, it's the monad, the singular, unknowable, and perfect source of all existence, utterly beyond time, space, or distinction.
From the monad emanates Barbelo, the first thought, who becomes the matrix for all divine realms, the eons. Within this hierarchy arises Sophia, whose attempt to create without her counterpart leads to a catastrophic rupture.
Principal claims. Number one, the Demiurge origin. Sophia, unbalanced creation, gives birth to a malformed being called Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, a projection of ignorance and self-delusion rather than true divinity.
The counterfeit cosmos, unaware of the higher realms, Yaldabaoth constructs this material universe, all the planets as well, mimicking eternal patterns, but replacing harmony with disorder.
And like Adam has said, they were born into light. They didn't have a body, right? Humanity's dual nature. The Demiurge fashions Adam, but only after Sophia and higher powers secretly imbue atoms with the divine spark, making humans simultaneously enslaved and divine at the same time.
Salvation through gnosis, Jesus, identified as the autogenes of self-generated light, reveals that deliverance lies in remembering one's origin in the pleroma rather than obedience to the Creator God. And it reminds me of when Jesus told the thief on the cross, "Today you will be with me in paradise." When he said, "Remember me," the thief told Jesus, and Jesus said, "Today, after, since you remembered who you are,
yeah.
we can exist."
And that's the key to everything, is not becoming something, is remembering who you already are. And
I mean, there's so many distractions which point to the brokenness of man, brokenness of our being, of who we are. And with our trans experience, that we're supposedly broken because we don't have a connection to our original gendered body, and that all that. But the fact is that there's nothing broken. There's nothing to fix. Everything is as it should be. And so this lie, and even like spiritual guru people that are online and stuff, teaching people how to like be a better you or create the new you and all that, they still lead people to this false sense of telling them that they're broken.
Yeah, that there's something they have to
that
fix.
They need to fix themselves.
So, theological implication: the Apocryphon of John transforms Genesis into a myth of cosmic insurrection. Creation, quote unquote, becomes a counterfeit act, and redemption arises through knowledge rather than atonement.
The Apocalypse of Adam. The Apocalypse of Adam is a visionary sermon in which Adam confides to his son Seth, as we spoke earlier, the truth of humanity's enslavement within a counterfeit cosmos. Adam and Eve, originally radiant beings in the eternal light, are created anew by Sakla, a name synonymous with Yaldabaoth, and cast into ignorance. So you have these beings that were emanations of the monad and have the divine spark, and they're placed into this material world. They're lured into this material existence, and they don't realize that in their journey down into that material dimension that they are being trapped.
Totally. Yeah. So the fall as enslavement, humanity is twofold: physical by deception, divine by memory. Their sin, quote unquote, is awakening, not disobedience. When they remember their celestial origin, the demiurge retaliates.
So the demiurge calls it sin, like says that it's wrong for them to
Awaken.
wake up and know who they are. So when you see the story and you go read it in Genesis 3 of the fall of the tree and the serpent and that whole thing, it's like the serpent never lies. He doesn't tell them anything that wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they say that he was deceiving them, but there was no deception on his lips. Whatever this creature was not lying to them, because he literally told them that once they did what they did, that this is what would take place.
Exactly. So
the cosmic political order, Sakla and his sons divide rulership into 12 or 13 kingdoms, which symbolize the structure of human delusion and political hierarchy, as above, so below.
Gnosis preserved in Seth's line after catalysm, the flood, higher beings such as Abrasak, Sablo, and Gamalai rescue the children of light, while the rest remain prisoners of matter.
So there's these. So go back again. That basically says that Abraxas, Sablo, and Gamaliel, they rescue the children of light, while the rest remain prisoners of matter.
Yeah, which is where this is the prison planet. The body is a prison.
But they rescue a few.
But they did.
The rejection of outer authority, the text rejects any salvation mediated by priests or prophets. Enlightenment resides in memory of pre-material unity.
Not of this world, not of what you're doing in this world. So Yahweh is so stuck in this, like the sins of the body. And it's like, these things are the prison. That's why people that want to get out of sin, like all these ex-trans, ex-gays, and you see them, they struggle. It's like a never ending, it's a trap. You'll never be able to free yourself from that stuff. And you'll constantly be begging for forgiveness and constantly like becoming this little worshiping fool, because that's exactly what Yahweh wants. But it's not about the body, it's the spirit. It's learning how to remember who you are and break free from this realm. So theological implication in this reinterpretation, the traditional God of Genesis is recast as a tyrant, suppressing consciousness, while evil, quote unquote, becomes a refusal to awaken. The apocalypse of Adam thus inverts the biblical mythos into a tale of spiritual insurgency.
So you have a story where the good guy is the evil guy and the evil guy is actually the good guy. And they literally, the writers of the book of Genesis, they swap the villain in the story.
Totally.
Because the enlightened one is the one that was breaking free from the prison. And instead, it's made to be the opposite. So the Gnostic apocalypse of Peter, its core narrative is that it situates itself during the Holy Week and portrays Christ revealing to Peter the future corruption of his movement. And we had already touched on it, but the text tone is an adversarial toward the emerging church hierarchy, which we experience even today. Jesus predicts that false Christians would institutionalize power, which is, what's taking place, setting up bishops and deacons while suppressing direct experience of the divine.
Principal claims critique of orthodoxy. Organized religion becomes synonymous with blindness and pride. The true believers are those who pursue gnosis rather than ecclesiastic obedience. Yeah.
So it's like ecclesiastical obedience is like, following the word, following,
what Christianity teaches. Docetic Christology, the divine Christ never truly suffered. Only Jesus' physical shell underwent crucifixion. The laughing ethereal Christ symbolizes detachment from the material bondage.
Dual worlds, the material world is depicted as the home of demons, aligning with the Demiurge's jurisdiction, while spiritual existence transcends flesh and law.
Totally. Theological implication. The Apocalypse of Peter redefines martyrdom and salvation, asserting that the institutions venerating Christ's suffering are paradoxically perpetuating archonic control. Suffering and obedience serves the demiurge, not the monad.
The monad is not looking for your worship. It's not the true source doesn't need to be given accolades.
No.
It's an existence that is eternal, that is loving, that doesn't judge, that doesn't keep records of wrongs,
Doesn't have an agenda.
It's like it's an emanation of itself, and we are emanations of it. And literally, we are like a part of that creative spark. So the Coptic Apocalypse of Paul, the core narrative is that it adapts 2 Corinthians 12, 2 through 4. I knew a man caught up into the third heaven, into a visionary ascent through the 10 heavens. Paul's accompanied by an angelic guide, yet his pathway through heaven resembles a bureaucratic gauntlet controlled by hostile archons.
When you hear all these near-death experiences and you hear people's account of their near-death, it all depends on how that person was raised. And they're going to see whatever it is it's in their programming. They're going to see their grandparent, or they're going to see Jesus, or they're going to see, and this is all archon constructed. It's like a theater, layered spheres of control. Each celestial zone functions like a spiritual checkpoint where archons attempt to verify Paul's worth, demanding submission that he refuses.
And there was this one video we were watching yesterday where they gave the option either you choose to bow or you stand.
Yeah.
And the woman that was, rebelling against that authority said, I'm going to stand.
Yeah.
While the others chose to bow.
Kneel.
So the exposure of false divinity, Paul's defiance exposes that the gatekeepers themselves are imposters, upholding a fraudulent cosmic order, the freedom through realization. The text concludes with the recognition that true ascent occurs not through ritual or intermediaries, but through the direct remembrance of divine origin, the inner spark.
Supervision of judgment. Traditional theology, vision of judgment becomes inverted. Those condemned by heaven's authority are in reality those closest to liberation.
So that theological implication is that instead of a vindication of divine justice, this apocalypse reframes Paul's mission as reconnaissance, a revelation that heaven's hierarchies are compromised. The journey upward, quote unquote, symbolizes enlightenment beyond cosmic control.
The system you live in wasn't made to save you. It was made to use you. That's the first truth the Gnostic apocalypse reveals. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I'll repeat that again. The system you live in wasn't made to save you. It was made to use you. Okay, and everything you see, all the political systems, all the religious system, all the financial system, everything.
And that's one of the bases of why we do what we do and why we believe the way we believe. Christians ask, but why why have you fallen away from God? Why, oh, you had such a wonderful smile. They tell you. And it's like, once you see the truth,
You can't see it.
you can't unsee it. It's like, I'm sorry, I grew up in the church. I grew up going to church, going to Christian school, going to Christian college, working with Christian ministries. I was a part of the whole thing, and none of it brought any truth or revelation to my life until I left it.
Mhm.
And I realized that it's all been a lie.
Yeah, totally.
There's no truth in it. And once you see that, you can't like unsee it. And people that would say, oh, but in your heart of hearts, that that Jesus is the Son of God and that he came and died for you and all this, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I don't believe that.
Mm-mm.
I refuse to accept that because I believe that for such a long time. And now it's like you see, you read, you hear, you see who Christians have been following.
Mm.
You see who they pretty much elected as president in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You see that there is a very close tie of, othering people with this God and with this president and with this religious movement that's been in power for such a long time that paints itself as the victim when it's actually the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
You can't unsee it.
You can't.
I'm sorry.
You can't. It's impossible. The war isn't coming. It's already here. It's at every distraction, every authority, every doctrine that tells you to kneel, obey, comply. The moment you stop complying, that's your personal end of days. That's when the false god loses his grip.
Every Gnostic gospel, every secret text found in Nag Hammadi in 1945 confirms this one truth. The world that you know was crafted by something that actually fears you, fears your awakening, fears your return to the real. And the more you know, the weaker it becomes.
You want to talk about apocalypse? Then let's talk about Adam, the so-called first man. Because the version you've been spoon-fed is a sanitized fairy tale compared to the raw Gnostic record.
According to the Apocalypse of Adam, which wasn't written by some anonymous monk in a cave, but by people who had the guts to say what others were too scared to whisper, Adam wasn't created innocent and happy in a garden. He was built, engineered by a lesser power, and then stripped of everything divine that he once had. Adam speaks directly in this text, not a prophet, not a puppet, but a witness.
He tells his son Seth that before they ever got dumped into the prison world, they existed in light and power and glory. Then the glory was ripped away. He says it flat out. God who created us is not the true one. And this isn't vaped poetic nonsense. He gives names. The one responsible, Sakla, same figure the other Gnostic texts call the Demiurge, some cosmic fraud still being worshipped today.
Adam's words are not gentle. They are surgical. He doesn't describe a fall. He describes a theft, a hack job on human divinity. And here's the kicker. He wasn't alone. Eve saw it too. She remembered where they came from before Sakla hijacked them into matter.
And for that memory, for daring to know the truth, they were punished not by serpents or apples, but by being buried inside a world of dead things. His exact phrase, we learned about dead things like men. Let that sink in. Dead things like men.
We learned about dead things like men.
Mm-hmm.
That is the world that you're living in. According to the Apocalypse of Adam, humanity is on lockdown. Remember the old days, 2020?
Mm-hmm.
Not metaphorically, literally. The universe was designed as a lay control grid. 13 kingdoms, each with their own false rulers, and every single one of them claims to be God. That's not theology. That's a psychological operation, a psyop. They're
Mhm.
stacking false authorities on top of each other to make sure that you stay blind, you stay lost, and you stay obedient.
Just look around you. Look at the world that we're living in. Every country has either a president, a dictator. Every corporation has a set of like, there's like CEOs and
Hierarchical.
yeah, exactly. It's like as above, so below. All you have to do is look around you. It's the same thing. We are in a prison planet, in a prison body, following a demiurge that is corrupt. And unless you start going within, start to listen to your higher self, to that inner spark of divinity that you have within you, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and keep coming back here like a recycle can. It's time to wake up. Okay, so why was I here? That's
No.
Okay. Adam doesn't just recall the past. He lays out a prophetic timeline. He says a generation will come, human, yes, but not from the realm. And they will expose everything. He doesn't call them saints. He doesn't call them messiahs. He calls them illuminators. And they're going to wreck the system. These beings will speak truth that none of the king's priests or scholars can refute.
And because of that, the rulers of the kingdom will panic. They'll try to erase the truth, bury it, burn it, just like they always do.
Yep.
They've done it in the past. They continue to do the same thing. And
Yes.
now get this. Adam says the rulers will fabricate stories, fake origin myths to keep people distracted from the real apocalypse. Not bombs, not earthquakes, but exposure. The truth itself is the bomb. And once it goes off, the entire structure collapses.
So we're living in that time right now. Are people exposing truth? And this is why we are the way we are right now. Everything is like in chaos, literally. I mean, every day I'm afraid to look at the internet anymore because every day there's something weird. And the person in the White House, you couldn't get any more weirder than that, right? So the apocalypse of Adam doesn't give you a savior complex. It gives you a war file. 13 dominions, 13 masks of divinity, each one set up to keep you begging at the feet of the very powers that enslave you. And Adam saw the blueprint. He saw it unraveled in real time.
Let's talk mechanics. In the text, each of these 13 kingdoms makes a separate claim about where humanity came from. Not one of them agrees. One says, humans came from our seed. Another says, they're the offspring of angels. Another says, they're from us, the gods of fire. It's chaos.
Deliberate chaos. Why? Because confusion is the oldest form of control. When people can't even agree on where they came from, they follow another one who sounds confident enough. And don't kid yourself. This wasn't written as a metaphor for political manipulation.
The Gnostics weren't being cute. They meant it. This is a cosmic storm. You are born into a realm where every structure, education, religion, even your own physical body is part of the encryption. And unless someone decodes it for you, you die thinking the warden is your father.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't get any simpler than that. I mean, this was like totally truth. I mean, the other stuff just seems like such a fairy tale fluff. It has no concrete evidence. No, it's like not.
It's like, you open a game board and out comes the game of Candyland. And then next to that is the game of Risk. And it's like Candyland or Risk. And like, which one is going to be, kind of take more cerebral power just to slide down the little ladder and pick up your candy cane. And, I mean, that's similar to what the Bible presents. It puts things under like this in a nice little box with a little bow on it and says, this is what happened here, and this is why this is like that, and then the flood, and then God had to destroy the world because it was evil, and he said he was sorry that he did it, but he did it, and then he promises not to do it again. Maybe it's like, and then it's like this whole like very elementary, like grade school understanding is supposed to be. It's like it's like the president right now. He says things, and people know it's not true, but they think that people are stupid.
Yeah.
And they just think that people are just gonna, oh, okay,
I just think that Yahweh corrupted our DNA to get us to be worshiping fools. Like that friend of mine who was the Messianic Christian for 20 years, her husband continues to believe.
Yeah.
And so there's something within men that are programmed to kill in the name of God. To do, I mean, you see it. We're seeing the politics, we're seeing everything. So until mankind breaks free from that and really, instead of being in tune with their physical body, become in tune with their spiritual self, that's the only time that we're going to really be able to break free from this
prison. It says
prison.
it in the Gospel of Thomas, another apocrypha text, basically saying that until one becomes one with both their male and their female, that they won't be able to understand spiritual things. And it's like you were saying it very, very well this morning when you said, like, there's something that, especially when men deny their feminine side, and they go only off of their logical male, like, dominating mind, that that's probably one of the reasons
can't break free.
Why they can't break free. I mean, it's like they literally, instead of trusting their gut, they trust in their strength.
You need, for the spirit to be functional, you need both energies, because the spirit has both a yin and a yang.
And it's not
masculine,
male.
No, it's a masculine or feminine energy, and that's the spark of divinity. That whole union of those energy is what makes us divine. Well, what is it that Christianity, let your boys be boys and my girls be girls? That's why they're so anti the gender queer, or the non-binary, or the trans, or the gays and lesbians, because gays, lesbian, queers, trans, non-binary, we're in touch with something that the typical human is not. And that's why they're so afraid of us. They're so afraid of our divinity. When I started Transition Radio Show, I had this vision that trans people were like angels, that we had knowledge that regular people didn't have. And that's, if you were born a female, you were going to become in touch with your male side. And that probably meant transition. And so you could have that experience. You need to have both experiences. And I feel very blessed to have been able to live life, even when the back and forth and the detransitioner, that only made me stronger. That really made me realize, wow, this is, and I'm very proud to be in touch with my nurturing side, my female side, although this is the side that I like to express, and everybody's different. But religion, Christianity especially, loves to downplay, they like to degrade anything that has to do with the LGBTQ. That's the only Leviticus thing that they listen to, because there's a ton of Leviticus stuff they ignore.
Yeah, they only cherry pick certain scriptures which serve their purpose.
Of course, of course.
And that purpose is just like their God Yahweh does, is the othering of others, the xenophobia, the racist bias, for a long time, Black people were not looked at as being equal to white people.
Yeah.
I mean, there are literal Bibles that are written that showcase, because of the sin of Cain, because of the sin of Ham, seeing his father naked. His progeny were then cursed, and they were to serve Seth, Shem's line or Japheth's line or whatever. And it's like this othering of people, this distinction of races, this separation,
xenophobia,
is absolutely the characteristic of a Yahweh character,
and of the man sitting in the White House.
Well, of course, of course, but I mean, it's like it's so blatant, it's so obvious that this racist, bias, this othering comes from a Bible that so many people honor as being the word of God to mankind. God's instructions. The Bible is basic instructions. Something is like something about for being able to be a good, fruitful Christian.
Well, the thing is that
basic instruction before leaving Earth is what it was called.
And what people don't seem to understand is that corrupted being, that corrupted mankind, corrupted people's DNA. And if you are just going by your physical self and not in touch with your spirit self, your yin and your yang, you're going to be part of that seed that's just going to be warring, constantly fighting, constantly looking for that law abidance of this deity. And you're never going to be able to evolve. You have to let go of whatever Yahweh seeded in you. You have to break free from that. You have to stop fearing. You have to go inwards. And that is the only way that you're going to be able to break free from this never-ending cycle, because it's like, die, get born again, come back here. Die, get born again. And notice, what is Christianity? Born again. Because they just want to keep that cycle of recycling or reincarnation going. And although Christians don't believe in reincarnation, that's exactly what happens to people. You come back to this hellhole.
And the thing is, I had a friend that we used to talk to a lot in Oregon, and she would say, but just in case, don't you guys just want to have that fire insurance just in case? And it's like, no, the way that you can break free from the curse of Christianity is to negate its edicts and to say, you know what? Your doctrine of hell does not affect me and my eternal existence.
None.
At all. I don't believe in it.
Yep.
I don't believe it's true. I don't accept it. I just don't,
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like, oh, but don't you want to make sure that you're protected? It's like,
protected from what?
It's like, so you're comparing the business model of getting insurance, which is in and of itself a very corrupt business. They make money off of people in the case that they die or in the case that they get into an accident, and they charge rates that are exorbitant.
It's all part of the corrupt system, but protected by whom? The same deity that created the problem in the first place? It's like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. And I wish that people would open their eyes. You are being led by deception, by lies that make you feel fear, that make you wonder, well, where am I going, heaven or hell? There is no such thing. You are a divine being, no matter if you profess Jesus or if you profess Buddha. You are a divine being. You don't need the Jesus. You don't need the Buddha. You just need to be able to remember who you are. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to read anything. You have to go inward and remember who you are to set yourself free. It's as simple as that. We complicate it. Stop connecting to this prison, because this is all it is. It's a prison. Yeah, have fun with it. You're in a world. Live, have fun, but don't get attached to anything. When the time comes when you die, if you have an attachment, you're going to be, it's like a magnet, whoop, brought back in here. And that's the name of the game. Detach and remember and know who you are. And that's what all these sages that have come down, whether it's Jesus, Buddha, all the different people, star walkers, whatever you want to call them, they've come down here to try to help you remember who you are.
They never asked to be worshipped. They never
Nope.
asked to be served. They never claimed to be the Son of God. They never claimed any divine, emanation of being. They literally just said, remember who you are. I mean, Jesus left clues in his Bible, in the Bible that has him in it, which says, why do you look at me? Why do you marvel at the things I do? You too can do the same things, even more than I.
The kingdom is
the
within
kingdom
you.
of God is within you. And
Yeah,
it's
not
like,
some Yahweh character, not whatever, the monad, the true creator of everything. It's within you. And that's who he referred to as the Father, not Yahweh. Not the biblical. He called the biblical God, the God that the Pharisees were following, your father's the devil.
John 8:44.
Clearly says that. I mean, I don't understand how Christians don't see this stuff. And I would wish that, look, the number's up there. Call us 602-456-9760. Call us. We are more than happy to have a conversation with you. Please help us change our mind if we're wrong. I am willing and open. If you could prove to me that everything that we've said here is wrong and a lie, then I am open. But I know you can't, because all you have is the same repetitive BS. You sound like parrots. You have no truth. You have no knowledge. You're just a parrot.
It's like you use the same argument over and over and over and over again. And you're like, Jesus is, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean,
Jesus loves you.
Do you people actually have a brain?
Are you human? Are you a robot?
Are you an NPC? I mean, the same arguments, the same rhetoric. And it's not just one Christian. It's like so many that they fiercely defend their faith, but they defend it in a way that is just, it's like coming from this hive-minded thought pattern that doesn't have any originality to it, doesn't have any personality to it. And I just find it to be very like one-dimensional.
Totally.
You don't get any like personal, lived, like true, heartfelt, blood, sweat, and tears kind of.
No, you get a robot.
You get like this veneer.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like this fake righteousness, this fake, like dependence, and there's no genuineness to it. And I don't mean to be critical for the sake of being critical, but I'm critical because I know and I experienced what it was to be a Christian.
Yeah.
And I know that there's so many times when, people would, like in Bible college, people would call other people brother and sister. Oh, bless you, brother, and bless you, sister. And it's like there's really no genuineness to it.
Pray for me.
Prayers going up, and then you see all these emojis.
And it's like, what does it even? The prayers don't work.
And it seems like Christians are more afflicted than anyone else.
And that's why.
And then they say that, it's because we're a target.
No, it's because your God doesn't care about you. And on the contrary, the more you worship, the more you pray to him, the more he curses you. And that's a fact. I mean, I see it all the time. I see all these Christians that have all these afflictions and problems and issues,
Change our mind.
Please. Because I don't see anything.
Some truth, but if you're going to come with the same old rhetoric, same old stories, the same old Bible verses.
We've read it. We've heard it. It's like it's wah, 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 wah. There's nothing you have that we want. But if you think you've got something different, if you think you're able to like contradict the real truth, the fact that your God is a fake God and is the God that has created all this, but just look around you. It's not Satan. It's your Yahweh that's doing this.
Look at the world that, you know, Christians, a lot of them are so happy to have the leadership of this country now be this president. Look at the chaos that this president has created. Is your God, in your eyes, a God of chaos? I mean, we're literally steps away from going to war with a Latin American country, and there's false pretenses to this war stating that it's all because it's drug cartels and stuff. The United States is one of the biggest markets for drugs in the world. Literally. I mean, our people have a hunger for that kind of thing.
Right.
And, you know, we have like countries that are being accused of this, and there's no valid proof of their participation in that industry.
Right. And we have to understand that our own country is one of the biggest drug dealers around. I mean, just follow that rabbit hole, you know, CIA. I mean, just follow it and you'll understand.
I mean, it is no secret under any pretenses that the professional sports industry in this country is infected by corrupt people. I mean, there's betting that goes on for many, many years. They wouldn't allow a professional sports team to be in Las Vegas. And now they have a professional football team. They're putting a baseball team in. They have a professional hockey team. And for many, many, many years, people couldn't like have a team there. And it's like, it's no shock that what's taken place now recently with the FBI, and they're saying that it's Trump's retribution against, you know, his enemies and people that he doesn't like.
Vindictive.
But it's no shock that the industry is corrupt. There's no shock that people make lots of money on betting on sports.
Everything in the world is corrupt.
I mean, look at the stock market. I mean, literally, it's a corrupt system that people bet on day in, day out. There's people that get insider information and they get trade information on what to sell, what to keep. You know, I mean, there's rumors that the reason the president had a recent tariff threat towards China was so that some other crypto could get more popular, you know, and it's like people knew and then they made millions and they dumped stuff and then they pick up. It's like, it's a corrupt system.
Created by the corrupt God of this world. And
the money system.
Yeah. Everything is created by Yahweh. Everything. And that's what people need to understand and wake up to. The truth, the facts. They want this system to end. They need to stop the worshiping of the archons and of that demiurge. It's time to settle in to your truth, your power. Remember who you are. That's all I could say. Because until the big majority of humanity wakes up to the truth, we're going to continue this endless cycle. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I mean, you see the same cyclical pattern taking place. We're reading, you know, I was reading a book to you about the JFK and the political climate when he was elected, and that there were Christian groups headed by Billy Graham himself, literally, who didn't want to be exposed in this creation of this group, but they were literally talking about how Catholicism, a president that was tied close to the Vatican, would, you know, be dangerous for the United States. And, you know, it's like, and then this hatred of the immigrant, this hatred of the other kinds of people, and the nation needed to stay, you know, to its Protestant roots and remain, you know, controlled by the white majority. And it's like, this is the same thing that's happening right now. Totally. The same thing. It's like, here we are, you know, there's like been a cycle, generational cycle that's taken place. And here we are back again, fighting for civil rights. It's like fighting for for recognition and for peace in this world.
The LGBTQ that had been, well, there was no T and no Q back then, but in the LGB, the same, we're like back to the same cycle. It's like, that's when you know you're living in a matrix. That's how you know that there is a corrupt God that is just, it's like, like in those mythological, when you saw the gods, and I'm saying plural, the Elohims, the Archons, and they're just like the weather, everything. They're controlling, they're creating all this chaos because they feed off our energy. And that's how you know when you see the same thing. I mean, have we evolved from anything? We're like devolving. So you've got to think, what is going on here? How long is it going to take before your Jesus comes back? How long is it going to take? It's the thing is, we have been destroyed, reset over and over and over again. That's because people don't learn. You keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Constantly. It's like, ya, hasta cuando? Enough is enough. Wake up already. All right, I think we've gone on long enough. It's been an hour and 30 minutes. It's a shame that nobody called in. We had the lines open up for you guys. Hopefully that'll...
That's okay. We're just getting into the swing of things.
Yeah.
And we're going to be on more, and we're going to be talking about more interesting conversations, interesting topics, things that are just going to really help a lot of people. I really think that we're at the place in our lives where we want to expose things. We want to share things. We want to share the things that we've learned over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, just recently, just talking about the system and how it's rigged and how, it's a system that's been made flawed from the beginning.
Totally. And how we were talking about it today, how there was no such thing as teenagers, because you literally, there was child labor and there was no teen. Kids didn't sit around playing video games at home, it was just a very different world, and yeah,
there's very little that we do know about this world, but when you hear Fox News literally calling for the bringing out of statues of the Confederate General Robert E. Lee to antagonize and really cause, apparently for them, they think it's funny that they would bring any kind of anger to a Democrat to see them rolling out Robert E. Lee. But it's you don't realize that the things that they're asking for, the symbolism of bringing out a statue of Robert E. Lee, he was a slave owner, he was completely, it's like taking the country backwards.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. People don't realize that Trump has been placed there by the elites, by the bloodline. Things are going to get so wacky. But I think that's what it's going to take for people to finally wake up.
I think it's going to be, once 2028 rolls around, we're going to really see what has taken place.
This, what is it, A131, whatever, if that doesn't come and totally turn our world around. We were watching
at this point, I'm welcoming it.
I know. As long as it's not the Archons coming back. I think the Archons are already here, though. I think they really are here, and they've been controlling everything in the bloodline that is here and has offsprings, are the ones that are creating the chaos on our planet. But let's hope, the Gnostics say, the apocalypse is the revealing, the awakening. People are finally going to remember who they are, and we will live in light, just like Adam had spoke about prior to Yahweh doing what he did. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it quits. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you. I will advertise the show when we put it together. Possibly, we're probably thinking maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays, or maybe Mondays and Thursdays. That all depends. I don't want to commit to anything, but I'm being right around this time, 7 o'clock. So thank you guys once again. We'll see you next week. We love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Goodbye.